GT Racing always produces fireworks, and today the show joins the historic Memorial Day celebration at Connecticut's legendary Lime Rock Park. The track is short, fast, and demanding. Preparation, confidence, and strategy are the keys to success, not just here at the Rock, but in the new Grand American Road Racing Association. And today on Speed Vision, regardless of the weather, there's going to be thunder at the Rock. Welcome to Lime Rock, everybody. This is Memorial Day weekend. This is sports cars at its best on this awesome track. It's the Dodge Dealers Grand Prix here at Lime Rock, the 4th round of the Grand American Road Racing Association's GT Championship. You can see the field ready to go. I'm Greg Creamer along with Dorsey Schrader and David Hobbs. Down in pit lane, we'll have Calvin Fish and John Bizignano. And a number of the players in this field have been in the thrust of this championship for the opening 3 rounds, and certainly such was the case at the most recent round, round 3 at Homestead. In the GTU division, it was that number 66 black and white Porsche of Kevin Buckler, the Racers Group, and the GW Motorsports Porsche right there in chase, the yellow and white machine of Darren Law and Mike Fitzgerald, had a battle throughout the race. As it got down near the end, however, just a bit of a break going to GW Motorsports, they were able to take the win. Meanwhile, Terry Borchler and Ron Johnson in the Celine Allen Speed Lab number 5 BASF GTU or GTO Ford were able to take a huge win. In the battle in the new American GT Championship reigned supreme right down to the very end. John Levy and Doug Goad, number 18 and number 09, in a bump right there as Goad trying to sneak underneath Levy. Levy kept it out of the gravel, but for Goad, a right front tire cut down, huge bodywork damage, and John Chevy Levy taking the number 18 to the win in the American GT category, the most recent round at Homestead. We talked about Ron Johnson and Terry Borchler in that new Celine Allen Speed Lab BASF machine. It is in the GTU, the Grand Touring Over division. It's a production-based sports car. It's production-based engines as well, but it's steel brakes, working head, tail, and brake lights. It's a production-based car, but Calvin Fish, it is a race car in the extreme.
Well, it's a very fast race car. It's had the last 2 victories in class, guys, and it also claims the overall pole position here with a scintillating lap put together by Terry Borchler. But Terry, this Celine race car is really a test bed for his street cars, correct?
Yeah, Steve does a lot of work with the street cars, takes a lot of the development from the race car, and it's a good proving grounds. So hopefully it makes better street cars for him.
You've got quite an advantage over the field, Terry. What do you do when you actually get the green flag? What is your strategy this afternoon?
We're going to try and run a pace, get into a rhythm, and just stay out of trouble. You know Lime Rock pretty well. It's a place where you can get into trouble, get some contact, and we can go from the front to the back pretty quick. So we're going to try to stay out of trouble.
They're going to try and stay clear of traffic out there this afternoon, but if Terry can get a win here this afternoon, it'll be a second here this weekend. He also scored a victory in the Speed Vision GT Challenge win on Saturday, guys.
It was a remarkable drive and just sort of a one-off for him. We're now looking at the number 90 Yokohama Warren Fastening's Millennium Motors Porsche in GTU. Take a look at some of the stats for that. Grand Touring Under, factory-built race cars based on a production model, 4-liter max engine displacement, 6-speed tranny, no turbocharging, and again, working headlights, tail lights, and brake lights. But make no mistake about it, these are serious race cars. And in fact, John Bizignano, this car sits on pole.
Well, David Freeman is very happy with his Porsche, but they've had some problems with the car. They blew up a seal on the car just earlier this week. They had to rebuild the engine over last Monday is when it was finished. It was FedEx here to the track, and they've been running with it ever since, but they have the same problem. David, you aren't totally confident with this high oil pressure problem that you've been having for the last 2 weeks.
Right. No, we're not confident at this point. We still had it earlier this morning in the warm-up. And haven't run the car really since then, just at idle. So it's one of those things we're a little unsure here. You know, being on the pole in GTU, it's a little concerning.
Well, if it stays together, he's going to be fast, but I'll tell you, some people are going to give him a lot of competition, and those people are from the BMW teams, and Calvin Fish is with the man with the greatest hopes.
Well, he really does. He's had a lot of success with this type of car. He's over here. He's going to actually be stepping into the car when Rick Fairbanks finishes his stint. But, Billy, these cars seem so strong, but Porsche this year in this category are a tough competitor.
Well, I mean, Porsche designed that new GT3R, which is a rocket ship. It was a great design, great power, great aerodynamics. But here we got their number. I mean, in Phoenix, it's a tight track. We use the handling of the BMW, the Yokohama tires, and this car stops. And that's what you need here, and we'll do the same thing to them here that we did there.
We look forward to watching.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, Calvin, Bill Oberlin in practice was incredibly impressive. Now, there's another class that'll be racing. It's the American GT category. The 00 entry is the one we're going to be looking at. And let's take a look at some of the stats here. It's tube frame construction. Iron or aluminum V8s, again, no turbocharging, 5-speed transmission, but they're running a spec under tray to keep the costs under control, and of course, that's very crucial. And John Bizignano, the guy that put this 00 entry on pole, has a lot of laps here at the Rock.
Well, Erik Curran, this is his home circuit. He has had some 40 events here at Lime Rock, and he's won 18 of them. That's a pretty good record. But, Erik, you were saying controlling 700 horsepower around your home circuit, that's a new experience, and it's a difficult one for you.
It sure is. It sure is. It's a much different car than the cars I've driven previously here. But it feels great. It feels great to be at the track that I know, close to home. This is the place that I've learned how to do my driving. It really feels good to be in a new car that works extremely well at my home track. I'm having a good time.
Well, he's going to enjoy it, guys, but he told me in 5th gear he could get wheel spin all the way down the front straightaway. He's got to keep this car under control.
And he's used to that. Dorsey Schrader, Erik Curran, we watched him last year at the runoffs. This guy in the American Sedan category was magic.
Yeah, but this car has far more power than anything he's ever been in before. You were talking about that beginning iron block or aluminum block. Aluminum block 60 pounds lighter. These are NASCAR motors, over 700 horsepower, tons of torque, and getting it to the ground on a stick axle car or a solid rear axle car, awfully hard to do.
And very, very little aerodynamic help, of course, which is all part of the regulation package. I mean, you've got a spoiler on the back, but I mean, these are, you know, pretty exciting cars to watch, and for the All-American GT car to be up there on the front row is pretty amazing.
Well, and also, how about 3 different classes, 20 cars total on the short track, David? Traffic has often played a key role here with this entry. Traffic should be no problem at all this afternoon. I mean, not for us up here. No.
Oh, I see what you mean for them.
On the track.
Oh, yes, it will be a problem down there. There'll be a lot of traffic problems. Traffic could play a big part in this race. Terry Borchler, of course, is going to try and make sure he stays way out of the way of all that traffic.
And one thing, once these the GTU category cars get up to speed, get the momentum going, it's not like they're exactly pokey. I mean, you take a look at some of the times, some of the GTU guys are only a couple seconds off of the fastest cars, so it's not like they're going to be real easy to pass, especially if they're in their own battle.
You've got about 3 or 4 GTU cars who are going to be locked in battle, and they're going to be very difficult to be lapped and overtaken by the faster cars, because they aren't going to want to give up any track position at all.
All right, well, we have heard the command. The engines are now firing, and the Grand American Road Racing Association's 4th round about to commence here at Lime Rock. When we come back, we'll take a look at the track and show you the starting lineup. The pace laps underway here at Lime Rock Park for the Dodge dealers Grand Prix and David Hobbs. Now that we got it clarified that there's a lot of traffic out on the track that we're going to be worried about, let's take a look at this track. It is very unique and very quick.
7 turns, 6 of them right-handers. The S is there being the only left-hander. Elevation change. You go up the uphill there, and along the top there, West Bend is a very important corner because it's flat. There's no camber to help you at all, but the diving turn is the one. You've got to come off that diving turn with good speed, because the only real good spot for overtaking here is into that big bend. It's wide, and it's a good entry for overtaking, but the whole track is very, very bumpy, so it's going to be a rough ride for these guys this afternoon.
And again, with 3 different classes running here, that passing zone into Big Bend could be very, very fraught. Let's take a look at our starting lineup, and it is impressive. Terry Borchler, alone in GTO, but running very hard as they develop that car. 56 seconds flat around here. Outside, Erik Curran in the American GT Ford Mustang. he's 2 seconds off of Borschler's time, but very fast in that tube frame machine. Now the second row shows us inside the pole sitter in GTU, and notice he is but a 10th off the American GT car. Next to him is Kevin Buckler, also in a GTU division. Most of them now are going to be GTU from here on. In the third row, it is Mike Schromm, and along with him is Spencer Pompelli. He is driving a GTU Porsche. Now that one is as an RSR. Then in the fourth row inside, it is Craig Conway, who has been so fast along with Doug Goad in AGT. Next to him will be Fisher in the GTU Porsche. Next up will be Mike Fitzgerald, who along with Darren Law won the third round at Homestead in his GTU Porsche. Next to him will be Rick Fairbanks, who will be teamed with the very fast Bill Oberlin in the BMW. Then it'll be John Lewis and McKeever in the sixth row, along with Joe Danaher. Then next to them will be Chuck Goldsboro in another of those GTU BMWs, and it'll be Frank Sanchez in the American GT Chevrolet Camaro. He's sharing with a very fast Tony Ave. Then it'll be in GTU Oniglia, and next to him, John Chevy Levy in his American GT Camaro. Next row, row 9, will be the Dodge Viper of Mesley and the American GT Camaro of McNeil. And in the 10th row, developing a problematic right now Porsche GT2 Evo, it will be Cook driving in the GTO division, teamed with Marshall. Now, let's take a look at a very special award that has recently been created, courtesy of Informix Software. It's the Way Fast Pole Award. It's $1,000 and a nice trophy to each of the division pole sitters, Terry Borschler, Erik Curran, and Friedman. And Terry Borschler very happy with the developments after qualifying. He's going to like that a lot. Here's the field now as they continue to cycle up and getting ready for the start. They are working through the backside of the track here and up and underneath the Informix bridge, and this leads them through that diving turn, and we see the lights are out indeed on the pace car, and Terry Borschler, one would think here, will open up a fairly quick lead, but Erik Curran is going to have some very racy GTU cars close at hand as they get going. Again, a 98 lap race, 150 miles. We're very glad that you're with us here for this live coverage, and watch for the pace car to make its move, and then it should be Terry Borschler taking off, but the GTU battle behind should be fascinating. And there's some other developments in American GT. We are green. And two cars in the grass.
Curran's car didn't go. On the outside front row, car did not take off.
Did not take off at all, and it's still there on the main
crawling.
straightaway.
He's trying, as a matter of fact, in the that's the pit out lane. He's trying to dive into. With all the power in these cars, he may have just snapped something when he went to throttle.
And that, of course, forced some people up onto the grass first there, so let's hope they haven't done any damage to the front spoilers and the under trays as they struggle through the S's there. That first left-hander, everybody on stone cold tires at the moment. Temperature here a bit low, not as low as it could have been. No, the forecast really was rain. It's actually been a pretty nice sunny day. A lot of smoke coming out the back of Borschler's car, and I don't think it's tire smoke.
Well, we just got a report that Curran said it was a broken gas pedal, of all things, in his car. That's unbelievable. Here's a look at Kevin Buckler in the GTU division. There is Terry Borschler, who, as we suspected, is quickly opening things up. But let's go back and take a look at that start, because when the 00 car just laid down on the start, it made it interesting for everybody behind, Dorsey.
Watch right there on the outside. The white car is not going to go. And, of course, everybody doing a really good job of missing it, right? Look at the Porsche white. Ooh, almost flat.
Boy, that was close, wasn't it?
Boy, a broken gas pedal here. Unbelievable. But
how frustrating. On the pole for his class and on the front row, and done a very good time. And a guy that's had 18 wins here already.
Let's go down to Calvin Fish. They have to be just terribly frustrated.
Well, they're looking underneath the hood right now. It took a while to get that off. They took all the tape off. They're now going to take the air cleaner box off. Erik, what happened out there?
It was like the gas cable or linkage broke. No gas pedal at all.
Scary moment for him, guys. The field was right behind him. They were scattering to miss him, but they all did so. No other damage on the car that I can see.
And Calvin, some very, very smart driving by those behind as well, especially the car that got way off in the grass, being very smart and not just coming back on. As a result, Friedman continues now in the red Porsche right there to lead GTU. Behind him, the GW Motorsports entry. But look who's running up there now in the 4th spot. That is Conway, who's closed up big time in the early going.
Well, that was a shame for Mr. Curran there. That's an ex-Tommy Kendall, Jack Roush built race car, so it's not brand new. It's been had miles put on it a few years back.
We're just watching the battle for the 5th spot with Kevin Buckler in that white and black number 66 Racer Group Porsche being chased by Spencer Pompelli and Mike Fitzgerald as they work their way down No Name Straight. We are only 2 of 98 laps in the books, and overall up front it's Terry Borschler. Saturday, June 3rd, Sunday, June 4th, there will be an AMA Superbike doubleheader at Road Atlanta. Coverage right here on Speed Vision on Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, and on Sunday, June 4th, 3 p.m. Eastern Time as well. You can get a double dose of AMA Superbikes coming at you fast and furious from Road Atlanta. Up front, Terry Borschler in the BASF Home Improvement Celine Adams Speed Lab Mustang is absolutely checking out. And Calvin, he's got to do something to keep himself motivated.
Well, he does, but I think the motivation is the big picture, Greg. They're looking at Le Mans, the year 2001. They're really testing drivetrain components on this machine in preparation for an all-new car that will debut about August, September. Then they're going to use the last races of this year's calendar to really prepare for the big one next year. So there's a big picture on Terry Borschler's mind, and that's Le Mans.
Well, he's as much as said that it really doesn't bother them right now to not have much competition because they can run whatever pace they need just to continue to do the development on that car. However, for some of the GTU guys, as we're watching, that's a whole different story. That's 81. That's Mike Fitzgerald in the yellow machine right there as he's trying to get around Kevin Buckler, but nipping at his heels is that's a GTO. That's one of those turbo Porsches. And that car is trying to move up, and it's the only other car in GTO right here. And again, that car behind him has got another very fast GTU Porsche.
I think what's packing these GTU cars up there, I think quite honestly, the 09 car of Conway is actually just a little bit slower than them in lap time. But of course, when he gets to this big long straight here, he pulls out enough. Then from here on in, those guys pack up right behind him. So I think he's holding the pack up just a little bit, but obviously he ain't going to let him by.
You're not going to let him by easy, that's for sure. And meanwhile, you're absolutely right, because Mike Fitzgerald now all over the back of Kevin Buckler. Buckler in the 66 black and white Porsche on the right of your screen. Then it's Fitzgerald in the car right there, that yellow and white one, and pushing very hard to try and find a way by. Now, John Morton, and talk about a guy with lap experience. That's him right there in that other yellow car. That's the team number 80 G&W Motorsport machine. And behind him is the 09 Craig Conway, the American GT Camaro. It is very fast, but Biz, we understand it may be in a little bit of trouble.
Well, right now they think they have a little bit of a problem, something electrical or something fuel. They're not terribly sure which one it is, but the engine's just not pulling the way it was. Now, these guys know what they're doing. They've been very successful with this chassis. It's their first time they've really ventured out for a championship across all the United States, or North America, if you will. Right now they're looking at the information and trying to find out if they have to make a stop, their race will be over.
Well, Biz, they may have another problem as well. Dorsey and David, we were just watching that car, and under braking as it got down near the end of that front straight, that nose was starting to really vibrate and, in fact, slap off the pavement.
The nose frame itself is going all the way down, and it's hitting on the asphalt. You see a lot of sparks coming out, and when it rebounds, you see it jumping up and down like that. It's dumping downforce. Take a look at the 09 car approaching the brake zone now, right in the center under the grill. There it starts. All that flapping around, that the front end completely off the car before the race.
That nose frame, you can see it shaking right through to the hood.
Yeah,
so they got a nasty vibration there.
We're going to have to watch that. That car, of course, won at Phoenix in round 2 and was in the battle for the lead and the win at Homestead. And then there was contact, and it ended up pitting with that bad tire. But they are right in the hunt, points-wise, team owner-wise, the whole program.
Watch it here.
So it's crucial. There it is again.
Yeah, it's quite violent shaking, and that, of course, that's all fiberglass, a carbon fiber front end, and they won't take a lot of abuse before something goes.
It's got to be frustrating, as you point out, David, because Kevin Buckler in the black and white Porsche right behind him knows he can run with John Morton. They've done it all season long, and the rest of the GTU field packing up, even the GTO car behind getting held up right now, and Buckler cannot go up and race with Morton.
But Conway in the 09 car actually just winding Morton in just a little bit. If he can get close enough behind him, he'll zap by him on that straight. More smoke coming out of the 09 car, and I don't think that is that front end. I think that looked like exhaust smoke to me.
Well, we'll have to keep an eye on developments with not only the 09 entry. There's a good look at John Morton. A lot of laps here at Lime Rock, and he continues to run second in the GTU division here at Lime Rock. Welcome back to Lime Rock, and traffic continues to be awfully interesting here. as we've got the intra-divisional battles, if you will, between the different categories, and it has kept things interesting. Certainly, there's a look. That is the second in GTO. That's a GT2 Porsche Evo Turbo. And because of traffic, it is lapping about a half-second quicker than the car in front. Can't find a way by Mike Fitzgerald in the GTU Porsche right there. And right behind them, you just got a glimpse of the purple hood right there of the number 46. And that is a Viper, and that car has had some immense problems throughout the weekend in terms of practice and qualifying. A Viper ended up right there coming down the hill. They ended up at 1 minute 19 lap, their best in qualifying due to huge engine problems. They said if you can run in the morning warm-up here somewhat competitively, we'll let you start. They were very competitive as they got it sorted. That car dead last is now worked its way up into ninth. So a tremendous job happening right now on the number 46 SportsFeed.com EMI Racing Viper of Eric Mesley. And when he turns it over, it's to a guy, David, named Stu Hayner.
Exactly. Stu Hayner is also very, very fast. So the 46 Viper, absolutely stunning paint job on that car and a very stunning performance. Started off dead last. He's now up to ninth. His fastest lap was only a couple of tenths slower than the fastest lap set by our leader, Terry Bortolo.
Oh, somebody, that's the 21, the ASCO performance entry of Andy Hedjuki and Bobby Oniglia, who started running very slowly, and it's bottling up everybody behind, and it has caused a huge change in some of the GTU battling at this point. Hey, now on the front straight, see if everybody gets, oh, it's still unbelievable what's occurring here.
A huge change.
Well, that GTO car is the fastest of that group in the straightaway, but it's not very good in the corners, and it's got them all clustered up to where nobody can get anything done.
There's 66 Buckler, who finally was able to get by, but Buckler finds himself now, his momentum absolutely killed, and is losing touch with everybody in front. Looks like that's going to sort itself out a little bit. We were talking about the great performance of the number 46 Viper. We expected that same kind of run from the Camaro of John Levy and Cohen, the number 18 American GT car who won at Homestead, was so fast in qualifying but had a problem. And Calvin, I guess that car's going behind the wall.
Well, they had gearbox problems in qualifying, Greg. Started from the back. We expected them to make a charge. He came in with overheating problems, and as the car sit here, having retired the car already, it really ruptured the fuel tank. There's a massive fuel leak in pit lane right now, so they're backing the car right over there, and you can see kind of trail underneath the car as it backs down pit lane.
That's a tough break, certainly, for John Levy on the heels of that win that threw he and Mike Cohen right back in the points mix. And now it's all done. And we go back to that tremendous battle in GTU, which currently is in the fourth place in GTU. Kevin Buckler right there, that black and white, the Porsche to the right of your screen. Then there's that GTO machine. And there's the number 46 Viper. And boy, David, I'll tell you, once he gets on the front straight, if he can get it running that downhill with that speed, he could be picking off some spots in a hurry.
Boy, he's going to be weaving his way through this group of guys, and as I said earlier, going on to the air. These guys have got a tremendously important battle. There's points at stake, and there's a lot of money at stake, and no one's going to give up track position and track room to let the faster guys through. They're going to have to work their way through the best they can.
So the Viper heading toward the downhill diving turn, as we are now 14 laps complete of 98. Terry Birchler way out front in GTO, but GTU is fierce. If you need to know what happened throughout the week in terms of motorsports, remember Speed Vision News Race Week every Sunday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 8:30 p.m. Pacific Time on Speed Vision. Speed Vision News Race Week, your racing source. Good look there at our overall and GTO race leader. It's Terry Borchler in the BASF Home Improvement Celine Allen Speed Lab Mustang. He is running incredibly well up front. It's a great drive in a racing car, but John Bizignano, you're with somebody who has got a lot more interest in it than just racing, doesn't he?
I'm with the man, and actually we've been set up to do an interview with him, and now they have gone to a setup for the pits. We have some situation down here. They may be bringing him, guys.
Well, that's a look at Steve Celine, and obviously something developing here. Borchler working his way up through the chicane right now.
Oops, smoke coming out.
A little bit of smoke again right there.
Been seeing that all the way through there, coming off that corner up through that chicane there.
Bit of body work,
could be body work. We'll know here in a minute. There's a little bit right there again as he heads down the downhill. See if he makes a pit stop this lap. Doesn't look like it. Looks like he's going to go on.
Is that a matter of the car just being set up very rich? I mean, it's not like they have to run right on the edge, and they want to get miles and miles and miles on the car, I suppose, to develop it.
Actually, I think it's a little tire rub, like David said.
Yeah.
It's like a right rear when he really leans on it.
When they're rich, you get that black smoke. This is more blue, which could be tires, and it could be just tires rubbing on bodywork. This is the S's here, the only left-hander here. Boy, these guys all sighing a sigh of relief. I mean, the forecast was for pretty consistent rain today, and it's been absolutely lovely, except it's just a little bit cool, so it takes some getting heat back into these tires, but we've had no cautions yet for these guys to lose the tire temperatures. This is the uphill, the rise. Now they're going to go right. He's aiming for that pole, for the apex. Round his little chicane. There's that smoke again. It must be rubbing, don't you think, Dawes?
Yeah, I think that must be what it is.
All right, well, of course, we were talking about some possible problems with the 09 car, and Calvin, they're in.
Well, they came in, they had to change the left front tires, absolutely shredded, but no one was ready. The crew wasn't ready, the goad wasn't ready, so it's been a very lengthy stop. I'm sure they've lost a couple of laps here. We'll try and get a word with the driver here. Craig, what caused the puncture, mate? Shredded tire.
I don't know for sure. Must have been some debris on the track because I didn't hit anything that I know of.
Did you do enough laps to get driver points? You had to go 25%. Did you get that far?
I don't know yet. We'll have to figure that out.
Okay, well, I think they may have changed drivers too early, guys, so Craig may have to get back in if they're going to score points here today.
Well, I think that's exactly the point. I think they had to go 22 laps, Calvin. Actually, a little bit more than that even to be able to get those points. So I think Conway may need to be back on board yet. Now, speaking of on board, we're on board with the number 50 Yokohama BMW, Rick Fairbanks, the starting driver in that car, and Bill Oberlin is his co-driver. And Fairbanks' job right now, I would suspect, David, is to keep that car right in the hunt, and then they put in the Maestro.
Well, he's certainly keeping in the hunt at the moment. There's the 09 car that just pulled out of the pits. I wonder if that broken front stay had some effect on that tire going down, because there's obviously something wrong with the bodywork on that 09 car. Is it still shaking like it was before?
Well, it's not
no,
quite.
It's not, is it?
The shake's not there.
Maybe the tire going down was somehow causing that shaking, do you think?
That vibration in the chassis with the...
Well, as bad as that was hitting down there, I think it might have ground itself some clearance now, too. You know?
Anyway, Doug Goad, who, of course, a very talented driver in this type of sedan equipment, is on board now. He and Conway a very, very good and equitable pairing. They are out on track. The car they're running right with there is the number 61 entry, and that was a late entry. It's a GTU Porsche 911 RSR, Scott Brunk and Keith Fisher, and that's that yellow and blue machine right in front now of Fairbanks, and right in front of them is Goad.
Look out there, you know, you saw those sparks on the braking. All those sparks were bits of metal that were shaving off, so it most certainly could be a puncture, like David said, off of that, but it didn't see it happening that time.
Rick Fairbanks, that team is his, and Genesis Racing, as are the former Prototype Technology Group cars of Tom Milner's team. And Fairbanks bought it, got a hold of Oberlin, got a hold of Chuck Goldsboro, and they put together a serious GTU effort. Welcome back to Lime Rock, where the day has gone bad for the number 46 GTO, Sportspeed.com, Hinckley Dodge and Dunlop Viper, as Eric Nestle has brought the car down into the pits, Biz.
Is in the pits, and Eric is in the car, and he was reporting of drivetrain problems. They have taken off the right rear, and they have climbed underneath the car, trying to find out exactly where the problem is. This car has been apart all weekend long. They've been working well into the night, trying to just make the car finish. They told me earlier, if we could finish, we'd feel like we won this thing. But right now, they've had about a 75-second stop in the pits. Really, their day's over, guys.
That's a tough break. They sure were spectacular after they got those earlier problems solved. There's a look at the number 21 ASCO Performance entry, Bobby Oniglia, behind the wheel. That car was running in the up and pushing on the top 10. Watch the back of the frame in this replay as he's going into the... Wow, did he clobber that curb.
Boy, oh boy.
He didn't get it slowed down. There's a big curb you turn in there. You're not supposed to hit that. He hit it a ton. Lucky he didn't get upside down on that thing.
Did a nice job to save it, although we brought a lot of debris on track, and it ended up costing him a spot or two. Now, though, it looks like they're back at speed, Dorsey, in that car. Of course, take a little bit to clear those tires up.
You got to wonder also if he damaged the wheel. I mean, he hit that curb a ton, and you saw how high the car got up off the ground. So you got to watch now in the next lap or two. He's going to be looking for a puncture, possibly.
Oh,
wheel doesn't look bent, does it?
No, that's all right.
But it sure launched it, and it hasn't damaged any of that bodywork on the front, which is so important to these cars to get some downforce. And it doesn't seem to have broken off any of those little winglets or splitters, so a bit lucky there.
Let's go back up front. Another look at Terry Borscheler, who is running incredibly consistent laps. His best lap time is a 57.3. He is lapping at a 57.5, 57.6. Take a look at some of the stats. Born in 1966, residence now Phoenix, Arizona. Won the 1998 SCCA World Challenge Championship, and in the same year the Professional Sports Car Racing Speed Vision Cup. So he's very adept in this category of car. Lime Rock hasn't been real friendly to him in the past, although maybe it's changing because on Saturday he won in a one-off in the World Challenge. But in the past, he's got some stuff left to do here at the Rock.
I've always seemed to run well here. I've been here about 6 years now. But finishing the race has always been a challenge at Lime Rock. You know, you have tracks that you favor and you have tracks that you struggle with. Believe it or not, this is a track that I tend to struggle with as far as finishing races. So I'm really gonna think about the strategy this year and make sure that we've got a real good car at the end. That's gonna be the goal.
Well, John Bizignano, that car's been a real good car all season.
Absolutely, the car's been running great and Terry's been driving it just superbly, but what they're having problems with is the throttle linkage, and it can't be worse. They can't actually suss out the problem. It's only happening about once every 3 laps, and if there's anything that drives a driver crazy around this track would be a sticking throttle, which they really don't want to bring him in to fix because they don't know exactly how to fix it, but it's only happening about once every 3 laps. He's in a bad position.
That's interesting to have an intermittent problem like that. What does that do to your psyche as a driver?
Well, it depends where it goes wrong. If it goes wrong at just the wrong time, coming down the downhill, for instance, or trying to turn into West Bend, or trying to get by somebody, or having just pulled past somebody and it suddenly slows up, it can be obviously very dangerous.
Okay, and now we're watching Borscheler as he continues with the number 50 BMW. They have now gone to the mark where they can make the stop, and John Bizignano looks like Oberlin's ready.
Bill is in the car. It was a very quick stop. Everything went perfectly in this pit. They've been practicing these stops all weekend long, and it really paid off. Watch him go now, guys.
Well, that looks as though they, you would suspect they'd go down 1 lap due to the short nature of this track. But Rick Fairbanks doing a superb job, had the car up in the top 10 overall, right in the GTU hunt, and now Oberlin's behind the wheel, and everybody else still is going to have to stop. So great opportunity, Fairbanks doing what he needed to do. And Bill Oberlin, remember, in practice, Oberlin was very, very fast. But Calvin Fish, number 81, who's been running very fast in GTU, is in and out of the pits.
Yeah, they're in. Mike Fitzgerald turned the driving cloth over to Darren Floor. They've got into Darren has been a little bit faster this weekend. So as soon as they got into their fuel window, they came in, made the change even under green flag, and they've got Darren back out there. So it should be a real battle there this afternoon in GTU.
Well, it's interesting. Certainly Mike Fitzgerald, a very fast driver, but sometimes one track and one driver style just suits it a little bit better. And to have the ego set aside and be able to do what's best for the team like that, that's why G&W Motorsport has had so much success already this season. 28 of 98 done. We are back at Lime Rock, lap 30 now in the books. We are on board with Bill Oberlin as he is really starting to pick the pace up in that Yokohama BMW from Genesis Racing, but all has not gone incredibly well. We talked about Rick Fairbanks and what a brilliant job he did bringing that car in and keeping it in the pace. But as he brought it into the pits, he was too fast. Maybe his only mistake of the weekend, he came in too quick. And as a result, that car was called in for a quick stop and go. So Bill Oberlin had to do it, and here's what it looked like at Oberlin when he left the pits. Watch the insistence he left the pits with. Watch this. This is the stop and go. Watch him leave now. Even the crew members were laughing at his pace on the way out of the pits.
That extra stop and go could be the kiss of death for them because they're already quite a long way down. They're a lap down on the leader of the class, and it's going to be a job for him to get that time back. Look at it going down the inside. Yeah, that Porsche just a little bit more oomph coming out of West Bend. Stays in front all through the diving turn. Is he going to be able to get him down to Big Bend?
Yep.
Yep.
Got her done.
Well, a little bit of a wiggle under braking down there.
You watch this power slide here from Bill Oberlin. Last time around here, it was awesome.
Yeah, he's definitely starting to throw that car around, trying to get the pace here. He just turned his last lap, David, on that power slide lap was his best one, a 58.9. So there's the tail. He's definitely got it wicked up a tad.
There's the tail, literally. It's the wing, actually, but it is at the tail of the car, you're right.
The paintball games, Yokohama BMW. There's the number 80. Now, of course, that car, John Morton, still behind the wheel, is a lap up, and we're going right with him is Kevin Buckler, right behind him in that black and white racer group car, but neither of them have stopped yet.
There's a Camaro back there that got in everybody's way, moving very slowly. Looks like maybe he'll be making a pit stop this lap. He's barely limping along down there.
Boy, Kevin Buckler getting a great run on John Morton.
Good draft here. They come down a big bend.
Ducks to the inside, and Buckler, Morton lets him slide through.
Morton has to give him room. As the day progresses on, we've had quite a bit of racing here today, and it's getting very dirty offline, so overtaking now is starting to get difficult if you have to go offline to do it.
That's a very good point, David, because this racetrack is so short, it really grinds the tires up, and I saw the same thing, a lot of debris to the outside.
A lot of rolled up rubber, those marbles, which are so deathly when you get on them, and sometimes you have to get on to overtake people. Ooh.
That's back on board here, but we were just watching the number 84 American GT Camaro of Andy McNeil in Scott, Delaware. But the car right in front there of Oberlin, that
look how quick old Oberlin was through there. Then he made up time in that crucial west bend, which means that the downhill he made up time as well. But he got balked just a little bit there. The guy in the blue car in front of him just tapped the brakes there. That was a bit.
There was a bunch of body work off of one of the cars.
Now, this is crucial.
Oberlin's.
Somebody, it could have been Oberlin. Something went flying when those two cars were close together, and I don't know whose car lost what.
Oberlin doing everything he can. That blue car is third overall right now, second in GTO. That is not in class. The red Porsche just in front. It came off of that car.
The deck lid off that Camaro is completely gone, and that's what I saw. It must have sucked it right off of there.
That must have given the guy following it somewhat of a start.
Yeah, that's a big piece back there to go flying up in the air. Now the guy pulls out of the way, lets the two Porsches go through. That's nice of him.
That's Andy McNeil, the worldbestbuy.com, Coma Racing.
You know, you're used to seeing the front ends of the things go flying off. I don't think I've seen a deck lid go flying in quite a long time. Don't know what would have caused that.
I think it was. Do you think it's pressurized inside because the whole back window went out with the deck lid?
Yeah, the whole thing blew, so it must have had
building some positive. Whoa!
This battle right here, guys, this is crucial because Oberlin right there, if he gets underneath and he's doing it, that red Porsche is leading in GTU. Oberlin got a lap back. He's now only one lap down, and the red Porsche, that is Friedman. He's got to stop yet. So Oberlin right there, that could have been a huge pass in this race. And that 07 GTO Porsche is running laps overall about the same speed, but in the twisty stuff, it is frustrating the bejesus out of Oberlin and Friedman in those GTU cars.
Actually, it shows him a lap down, but of course the other car hasn't stopped, so he's not really going to be a lap down once the car goes in for fuel because he'll lose that lap.
So that was a huge move right there. There's Friedman still leading in GTU, but he's going to have to hand off, of course, at some point. And he'll be turning that number 90 entry over to Chris Miller. But the switch already done for Oberlin. And Oberlin now trying to find a way. If he can get around that 07 car here and stay in front of him, that'll be a huge buffer. Can't do it here because of the motor. That's one of those GT2 Evo turbos. And a lot of grunt in the motor department. So Bill Oberlin doing what he was brought on board to do and continuing to do it. We'll be right back here at Lime Rock. Welcome back to round 4 of the Grand American Road Racing Association's GT Championship chase. There is an ongoing battle that has been raging for a while. John Morton in the yellow and white G&W Motorsports GTU Porsche. Right behind him, Kevin Buckler in the Racer Group GTU machine, and those two have been going at it. For them, though, the battle is for second in class up front. It's number 90 still, Mike Friedman leading, and they're coming up to put a lap on another of the cars here, but Morton and Buckler have been this close now for a number of laps. We're giving you a look at the overall standings, all classes combined here in the upper left corner, and right there Buckler able to skate through and slide by. Behind them is the Team G&W entry number 81. of Darren Law. That car lapped down due to their driver change stop, and he is just trying to stay close because the two in front have not yet made their pit stops. So some great battling in GTU unfolding right here, although Friedman has a bit of a margin over the rest up front, but a big off.
Wow. And he's hit the tire barrier quite hard.
That's I think that's the 09 entry of Goad.
Yeah, you see him moving around, and that's good. He's taking. That car's not going to go anywhere. Obviously, lost it completely left rear.
Well and truly buried under that tire barrier. This is going to cause a fairly long, I would say, extended caution period, because they're going to have to repair that tire wall. That is at the bottom of the downhill.
Yes, it is, Dave. I was about to say that's a brand new tire wall, and he should be very thankful for that, because it wasn't there last year. And that is a wreck right there, well over 100 miles per hour. It's the one place everybody's afraid of.
And one of the things that I think may have helped them there is this year they have that banding, almost that conveyor belt material, wrapping around the tire so you don't hit the tire hook into it and start to roll. You skip across
but he
it.
Somehow buried himself under the banding.
Yeah.
They're going to have to replace that banding.
So that a serious off. Good thing is Doug Goad moving. He's moving very carefully inside, but you don't want to rush in this type of a situation.
Not making much attempt to get out of there, that's for sure. And of course, you're looking right where the door used to be. Having a word there with the corner workers.
I think he's having a word with the pitch, isn't he? Or he
he's talking on the radio, perhaps, yeah. So it's not the 09 car. You know, there's the 71 American GT entry of Danaher and Mills, the Dura fitted garage entry. There's a fairly similar look to it. It could very well be that car. We'll wait to get a definitive answer on that. We will step away for just a moment, and we'll try and get word on that. Come back and update you. We have almost 40 laps done here of 98, so we're closing in on halfway here at Lime Rock. There's your current top 10.
Number 5, Terry Borcheller has brought the Mustang into the pits. They went for that sticking throttle. Ron Johnson changed, and now they have a fire in the back of the car. They want the driver out of the car immediately. The back end under flames. Way back, we've got fire inside the cabin of the car. They've got extinguishers all over it. Now they went to the engine compartment. They did everything they could to loosen up that throttle cable. They weren't sure that they were doing exactly what was needed, but in about 60 seconds, a long stop under the green. And again, now the pace car comes by. They're going a lap down. They would not have gone a lap down if it wasn't for this fire. Driver back in. They tried to fix the sticking throttle. But my gosh, Terry Borcheller was in the lead. He brought the car in perfectly. Everything was going very smoothly in the stop. They were taking their time to try and fix the throttle, and then this fire erupted in the back of the car. Ron Johnson's in the car now, and they're going to be out just as soon as they can, guys.
Well, Dorsey, we saw the onboard fire extinguisher go off as well. Is there anything left in there in case there's a recurrence of the problem?
No, unfortunately not, and that could have either been set off by Ron Johnson, but I don't think so, because it didn't look like he was aware of the fire. It could also have been set off automatically with heat sensors, and I think that's what's happened. We never saw the flame, but obviously we did see the fire extinguisher go off from underneath the bottom of the car. We saw that, so that's now he's riding without any fire suppression system.
And he is at least back on track now. And we're going to watch here because they were a lap up, I believe, so they may still be in a position to be leading, but whatever margin they had certainly is going to have gone away. There's a good look on board at Ron Johnson, as he now has to just get past that. It's really got to get his head in the game, doesn't he?
Well, he doesn't have to do anything really. They're still 2 seconds a lap quicker than anybody else out there, so they can just cruise their way around here, still win the class.
Well, Terry Borcheller had an amazing opening stint as usual, Biz.
Absolutely amazing. Terry, what a great run. You had a heck of a lead and then this pit stop, but we heard that you were having troubles with the throttle.
Yeah, the throttle stuck a few times.
Where on the circuit? Same spot or just any place it wanted to?
Same spot at the end of the front straightaway here. And you know, as always, it's not when you're cruising, it's when you're trying to pass somebody. And it was a little scary. They always tell you if you're a paid guy, you better not crash the car if you have a stuck throttle. So I reached over and hit the ignition switch, and
the throttle came back. Thankfully, I didn't have to drive it on the switch. So I just want to thank the Lord Jesus Christ, because he was watching over me for sure, more than one occasion.
What about this car now, the fire in the back end of the car?
Yeah, I don't know where that puts us. We were almost about to lap some of the front runners in some of the other classes. Actually, the second place GTO car, which is Chris Cook and Danny Marshall, G&W Motorsport, we were just about to lap them, and some of the lead GTU cars, and then the yellow came out. So we had a lot of green running, which was good, but I don't know how this is going to work now with the yellow and the fire.
Well, let's go back to the car. They brought it back in again, and they are going to where the fire was. There's probably some damage. I could see the flames. It had the whole back end of the car was engulfed inside with flames. They have reconnected something, and they're doing a very quick stop back on the rear end of the car. They're going to get it out of here again, guys.
All right, Biz, tough break for Terry Borschuler. Remember, he mentioned in his commentary that we heard that sometimes this has been tough on him. Let's look at what happened. This is Ron Johnson during that stop, and watch this. There is, going to watch his big plume here. There comes a quick thinking there as he popped that visor down, and he's watching now, and he's getting the instruction to get out of the car. But boy, what a moment, what a scary moment, and here he goes, very quick. And you can see why those quick release wheels do exactly what they do. He got out of that car in a matter of seconds, and that is indeed the whole concept. Boy, what a moment.
Yeah, that's what you don't want to see from in there, but when your crew guys are telling you get out, you better get out. He did.
So Terry Borschuler is out, Ron Johnson in, but they have indeed given up the lead as the 07 is now leading overall and in GTO. We are yellow, and here's why. There's that diving downhill turn right at the exit where the barrier starts to snug up a little bit is where the incident was, and it is the 71 machine that is now up on the wrecker, and we got a report from the scene from the corner workers who said the driver is out and was fine, just was taking it very easy and getting out of the car. So the good news is it's okay. Bad news is that car is in serious hurt.
Well, we don't have a replay, but notice suspectly that the left rear wheel is missing.
Yeah, coming down the downhill there, left rear wheel comes off, nasty spin, boom, straight in head on, yeah.
The load on that downhill and uphill on the left side is immense, and I mean, maybe a broken axle or broke something, but the wheel's missing, and he's had a big accident. Lucky he's okay, though. That's good.
As always here at Lime Rock, some superb work by the rescue vehicles. Meanwhile, our GTU leader is in, Cal.
Yes, he is. David Friedman brings the number 90 machine in. He's going to turn it over to Chris Miller. Now, Chris has a long time been a motorsports director for Yokohama Tires. Guess what tires they have on the car? Yokohama's best, no doubt. There's a real tire battle in this category anyway. There's Pirelli, there's Yokohama, and there's Dunlops out there fighting for the win today. But Chris is getting buckled in. They had a 58-lap window for fuel. They were waiting for the 40-lap mark. They got that yellow, which was just perfect. So the leaders in the category, they've got the strategy down. He should be able to go the rest of the way without adding any fuel.
And interestingly, of course, there is your overall leader, 07, and that is the GTO category car of Chris Cook and Danny Marshall. And it was Cook that started it, so Marshall on board. And that's going to change things up, as now a GTU car is leading overall here at Lime Rock under the yellow. John Morton, talk about a guy with experience on this track. John Morton is your overall race leader here in GTU. We continue to run under yellow, but we should be coming back to green fairly shortly here at Lime Rock. Welcome back to Lime Rock, and you see the lights are out on the pace car. We anticipate a green flag this time by. Overall race leader continues to be John Morton. Right behind him, Kevin Buckler. Behind him, Spencer Pompelli. And then it's Borschuler, all on the lead lap behind Borschuler, the car that was leading in GTU, the number 90 car now of Chris Miller. And right with them is the 07 entry who made that pit stop. But only a lap back now is Bill Oberlin. And if he can get up and get by the leaders in GTU, that's going to be very interesting.
But he's right at the back of the line at the moment, so his track position at the moment is gruesome.
Watch Ron Johnson in Borschuler's car, because that's the guy with the ponies. He's got all the power, and he's going to put it to use on the straightaway. You can get about 5 wide going in turn 1 and see what they do.
The earlier the yellow, for the bigger the horsepower, the better it is. So let's watch here. The Viper brings him in. Now, there's the go. It's a pretty good early yellow. And Morton gets on the throttle, but here comes Buckler. And if Buckler can make it stick, we'll see down in. It's Buckler, Kevin Buckler, your new race leader. Then it's Morton. Then it is the number 81. Now that's Darren Law, but he's trying to unlap himself. So we would think Darren Law is going to be unbelievably aggressive here in these opening couple of laps here, trying to get first by his teammate, number 80, right in front, and then Buckler, the overall leader.
Kevin Buckler made a great start there. He judged that just right. John Morton hung on just a little bit too long when that pace car pulled off.
Boy, right there, Darren Law took a look at the inside of Morton at the end of No Name into the climbing turn. Couldn't quite get it done there, but let's watch, see what kind of run he gets here. They go through West Bend, then into the diving turn, and let's watch him through the diving turn and see if he gives himself a little room to take a real strong run. Buckler's starting to open it up just a little bit here.
Kevin Buckler seems to be quicker than the other guys, having got around John Morton. John Morton now under extreme pressure.
There's a good look at some of the stats on Kevin Buckler. Won his first pro race in '95, the California Grand Prix at the GTU at Sears Point. That's where his team is based. He is quick at other tracks, and this series has been a godsend for the type of team that Buckler runs. An independent without the huge budget, but tremendous pace and speed. And there goes Law. He managed to wedge his way underneath now. And look how quick Oberlin, who was at the very back of that string of cars, David, you mentioned it, and he is already fourth in line.
Jeepers, where did he come from? He has passed a lot of people.
Bill Oberlin here now. That's a great look out the back, climbing up into the chicane. The rest of the pack coming through here, but Oberlin is on a march right now. Oh, and there's Erik Curran. Remember the gentleman who was on the outside of the front row, the American GT pole, and broke a throttle cable of some sort at the start. They fixed that car, and he's back out. He's a long way back in the pack, but he is running 13th overall right now, and he's only amazingly 3 laps adrift. So that team did a great job fixing that throttle cable, getting him back out.
But he's many, many laps down. But look at Bill Oberlin now. He is really catching up with Law in the 81 car.
Well, as we said, in practice, when Oberlin was in the car, he actually lapped about 0.4 of a second faster than the GTU pole. But Rick Fairbanks was the driver who qualified it. It's his team, for starters, and 2, he wanted to get as much lap as he could. Now here, look at this. Curran in 09. They are on the same lap, and that could become a battle for the lead in American GT.
That almost crashed all the American GTs out is what that did as he got blocked. 09 moves over on the Mustang, and you saw a lot of sparks, which means they were hard on the binders there not to have a collision.
You know what? That is a battle for the lead in American GT with the crash by 71. The Durafit car, that is a battle. And watch this here. Curran swinging out, trying to get underneath Doug Goad.
Look at the windshield on the Mustang. It's completely stove in because of the air pressure that's coming off the back of the Camaro. Thing bent all the way in there. It's plexiglass, of course.
And that buckling and that vibration starting to show again on the nose of the 09 entry. And that hasn't been a comfortable thing for them in the past, but Doug Goad, sitting there in the 09 Spirit of Daytona entry, has just given up the lead in American GT to Curran. What a great story that would be for Erik Curran.
Absolutely amazing. I mean, the thing, they lost 2 or 3 laps at the beginning there, but with that long caution and the pit stops, they've managed to pull all those laps back, and now on the same lap as the 09 car and pulling away.
Of course, the other driver,
he did a tremendous qualifying time.
Paul Jenkins, also out of Chicago, Illinois, the Orion Motorsports Team Chicago Ford Mustang, the ClarityAmerica.com and Dimension Bond car. He is also going to be on board in that, and he's no slouch either. But Curran definitely the shoe here, and he knows this track.
Well, I should say that Mustang right there too. Like I said, it was a Tommy Kendall, Jack Roush car. That was the old GTO car, and that was a heavily funded car by Ford Motor Company. So it's a very good chassis. You've got no question.
There now is Ron Johnson, and he is 3rd overall. He is back in the lead of the GTO division after the stop by the 07 G&W Motorsports entry. So that's a big development there, but he's 3rd overall. However, he is on the same lap as the overall leader, the GTU Porsche, Kevin Buckler, and John Morton. So if Ron Johnson can really set sail here, it is not beyond the hope in the stretch here that he might be able to regain the overall race lead. We're halfway almost here at Lime Rock. Welcome back. We are on board with Bill Oberlin, the man on the mission, as he is trying to auger his way up through the GTU pack. In front is number 81, Darren Law. This is a fight for position, as they are both one lap down to the overall and GTU leaders, who have yet to stop. In GTU, it's only these two cars that have indeed made their stops for the driver change. So this could become the battle for the lead. Watch Oberlin. Darcy, you pointed at it. He saw opportunity.
Yeah, there it was right there. The Mustang opened the gap.
That was a very slick move there by Oberlin's part.
I saw that coming. I did the same thing. I saw him going. The Mustang went to the inside. Oberlin tucked in with him. And, of course, Law could not defend because the gap was already opened up.
Oh, Darren Law getting awful close to a little payback. We saw while we were in break just a nudge from Oberlin into Law. And that may be what we're doing here now. Now watch, let's go on board. We're watching it now on board, but let's go back and watch the replay on board of that great pass by Oberlin, and watch for Curran to go sweeping by on the right here.
This is what you want. Oberlin watching for this. Here comes the Mustang. Now he's got to tuck back in there. See, side by side, the gap is open. Drive it up in there. Nothing Derek can do about that.
That is not only the speed and the aggression, but the wisdom of a Bill Oberlin, who's been in that situation before, eh?
Bill Oberlin's matured amazingly in the last 2 or 3 years. I mean, he is a real serious threat type racing driver these days. Very quick and good thinker. And he's a bit unlucky though sometimes in those BMWs, those prototype cars. He's had a couple of near misses in those, but he's quick.
Although I do remember a couple of years ago at Laguna Seca when he showed up in a car and it was raining. It was a lap down in that Riley and Scott BMW, remember? And he came back from about 2 laps down and won the thing at Laguna. It was remarkable. You know, once Oberlin got by the car of Darren Law, he's been staying pretty close to 00 Curran. And just a moment ago, after he made that pass, he was trying to get away from Darren Law and stay with Curran. Watch this, as in the twisty bits, this Bimmer handles so well right here. Watch.
Well, you know, he did that. He did that with Law before he made the pass. You'll see a bumper dent on the yellow Porsche.
Well, I think, Biz, that Oberlin is just trying to let him know that he's there and he's quick.
Definitely trying to let him know both those things. When talking to him earlier, he said, we have the best car for the hour and a half that this race is going to run, or maybe even 2 hours. He said, why? Is because the diving turn, the BMW handling is absolutely superior to every other make out there in the diving turn. He says, where the Porsches get us is down the straightaway. You saw when he went by the yellow Porsche, he was able to stay out in front of him, not because of the horsepower, but because of the speed that he can carry onto the straightaway. That's being demonstrated by how close he can stay to the 0-0. Again, the BMW, it's handling, not the power.
And I'll tell you, Biz, here's the story. The 2 leaders in overall in GTU, 66 Buckler and 80 Morton, they still have to stop. In front of Oberlin as well, in what is 3rd and 4th in GTU is Spencer Pumpelli, and that car still has to stop. Basically, though, it is Miller in the number 90 car that Oberlin is now racing with, because that car has stopped, as has Oberlin and Law, and Oberlin is lapping almost 2 seconds a lap faster than anybody else out there right now in his class. So this is going to be fascinating to watch it unfold. On board now, we continue to watch Oberlin, and of course Kevin Buckler. Calvin, I would think that they're trying to figure out some strategy here, because they just don't want to give this up.
Well, they're playing yellow, Greg. They really hope they get a yellow in about the next 10 laps. There's the minimum requirement for their other driver, of course. He's got to do 25% of this race. So when they get to about lap 70, they're going to have to bring him in, and if it's under green on this very short racetrack, it could cost them the lead.
And Oberlin right now got a great run on Buckler through the diving turn. This could put him on that lead lap if he can make the pass down into Big Bend. But again, there's the motor. But look at the brakes on the BMW.
Boy, oh boy, he came through the diving turn then. He was all over Buckler. He was so much quicker than them. When they hit the straight, Buckler maintained that little gap he had. But boy, oh boy, Oberlin was all over him like an extremely cheap suit right at the end and wishing down the inside.
An extremely cheap suit.
Extremely cheap.
See, now for Oberlin, he wants to follow the 00 Mustang up there, because that's his key. That's the
fastest car on the track at the moment. The 00 Mustang has done a 56.9 as his fastest lap of the race so far. And Bill Oberlin at the 57.4 is the 2nd fastest lap out there, including Terry Borchler and Ron Johnson. in the Saleen Mustang. That is a staggering time from Bill Oberlin, and a heck of a time from that All-American GT car, too.
That's amazing. By the way, the driver of the number 71 Camaro had that big crash at the exit of the diving turn. Doug Mills is been released from medical. He's fine. Might be a little sore, but otherwise he is just fine. That is indeed good news. Now, we were just watching at the monitor, and sure enough, as Oberlin came by, he is now on the same lap as the race leader. So there you go. It's just a matter. Now, we're getting a report that on number 5, yep, indeed, there's a, looks like the right corner of that hood, Dorsey, might be a little loose.
Well, you saw when they had that in there, they were looking underneath the hood of it. There's 3 pins I saw the guy working on. One in the center, I see it, and 2 on the outside. It looks like the right front one is not fastened, and it's lifting a little bit on that right front corner.
You have to keep an eye on that development. Biggest danger there would be down going into Big Bend. We've already saw the rear deck of one of the American GT cars come off when things weren't quite right.
But the good news is there's 2 other fasteners holding it right now.
Well, he'll be able to watch it when it goes over his roof anyway.
Yeah, once it's gone, you have to worry about it anymore.
No, exactly.
It'll be spectacular.
It will be.
He'll see it going.
So Ron Johnson continues to auger his way back, and he is lapping a second lap quicker than Buckler in the overall race lead, but it is a GTO car after all. And that is what you would expect to see. We are now 57 laps of 98 complete here at Lime Rock.
Well, one of the different things about racing at Lime Rock Park is a law passed years ago that prohibits racing on Sundays. Now, that seems a little strange, I know, and maybe somewhat un-American, but it stands. So on Sunday, no motor will be fired, no race cars will run. That doesn't mean, however, the fans have nothing to do here. Well, for the children, Lime Rock has installed a brand new Ferris wheel, and on top of that, there's a blow-up slide, there's laser tag, a lot of things around here for the kids to do, but what if you're just a big kid at heart? Well, for the adults, look at this. You have sculptured clay. You could actually have your own car done in clay here, and there's many, many fine pictures done, both of race cars and street cars, as well as photographs. And look at here. I found a picture of me and Ronnie Fellows back in 1995 beating each other up pretty good, and this picture here of Dorsey Schrader on a very bad hair day, but then again, look at Weaver.
Isn't that what they call helmet hair?
Well, yeah, get the helmet head going there.
Poor old James Weaver.
It starts out like that before the helmet.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that
it looks like when he goes to the office in the morning.
I think the helmet contains it or something.
Yeah, sticks it down.
You guys are brutal. Brutal. You really are. Meanwhile, up at the front, that black and white number 66 Porsche continues to lead overall, but as we talked about, Ron Johnson now is closed within 9 seconds. That's not a class battle. Certainly Buckler in the GTO machine and Johnson in the GTU end, or get it the other way around, actually. Buckler in GTU and Johnson in GTO. Number 81, Darren Law, now is trying to take a lap back and get on that same lap as Buckler. And really, if they do that, Buckler's going to have an incredibly quick pit stop turn over to Philip Collin to be able to stay in the hunt here. And that is exactly what he doesn't want to have happen, particularly since certainly we've already seen that Oberlin has been able to sneak by and get back on that lead lap.
These guys need a caution period like they need oxygen.
I look back there, I saw Ron Johnson come and watch in the back of the mirror here. Here he'll be coming in this next group of cars.
Watch for him down at the diving turn. There he is.
There he comes, and that's got a lot of horsepower. A little loose on the exit there.
Oh, Darren Law looked like he showed the nose, and Buckler may have faded a little bit and dropped wide. Meanwhile, here comes Johnson. Third overall is 80, John Morton, but quite a bit back of this group right now. Ron Johnson's last lap of 58.6. And Buckler's last lap of 58.9, so he's chipping away at it. But there are quite a few laps yet to go, well over 30. There is Oberlin sweeping through, heading into West Bend. Here's 90 now. That's Chris Miller in the car that had led GTU for so long. Then Buckler, then the number 81. And here comes Johnson. Again, that puff of smoke.
Yeah, that right rear of his has been smoking a lot. The right front hood is still loose, but obviously I don't think it's going to come to any sort of problem. But here we go down to the Big Bend. But look at all that debris on the inside once you get offline.
Well, that's interesting.
But he goes around him.
Well, because, you know, Chris Miller had gone around 66 Buckler and got himself back in the lead lap. And now Buckler just able to get underneath and put Chris Miller down a lap. And Calvin, that car, 66, has got a long time on its tires, but still seems to be working.
Well, it really does, Greg. I mean, when you're getting a lap 60 plus on those tires, those Pirellis, they're doing a remarkable job. You'd expect them to fade at this point, but he's still running strong. They're thinking another 10 laps, they have to come in, get that driver change made. But it's amazing. Darren Law's got brand new on his machine, and also Miller. So those Pirellis really doing a great job.
The 07 car there missed the chicane. A lot of dust and debris down there, so I guess he had a bit of an off going into the climbing turn and then missed the chicane.
And there goes number 81, Darren Law, who's now snuck underneath Chris Miller. And so that, I believe, is that's a change in position. So Law moves up another spot in GTU. That's going to put him up into third. Excuse me, into fourth in that category. It's currently in GTU, Buckler, then Morton. They both have to stop. Then Oberlin and Law and Miller, they already have stopped. So it's going to be very interesting here. So Darren Law doing pretty much what Oberlin is, and that is just trying to stay close. And here's Law now. He has caught number 66.
Well, 66
Buckler
got pulled badly there by that 61 car and nearly lost that position to the 81, but he managed to just hang in front there on no name straight. That was a close call there. 61 car really bolted pretty badly.
Of course, Darren Law, as you saw in the profile, won the most recent round at Homestead, Miami, and it's very quick indeed. But Darren Law, they've got fresher tires, a fresher driver, if you will. Buckler, not a problem with endurance, but as Calvin talked about, as good as those Pirellis seem to be in terms of length, they're just got a lot of wear on them, and I think Darren Law is doing the wise thing and just applying as much pressure as he can. Oh, right there you saw 66 Buckler, big slide midway through Big Bend.
But still able to hold the 81 car at bay in spite of the fact the 81 car's got a fresh driver and fresh tires. So Buckler doing a great job there in the 66 car.
Kevin Buckler, one of the more perhaps underrated drivers, and as we said, this is the type of series that gives him an opportunity to show. The 07 car, who had that moment up in the chicane just a couple laps ago, is in pit lane and is sitting there. That's the Porsche GT2 Evo, the Jennifer Fund entry of Chris Cook and Danny Marshall. And whoops, over in Big Bend, number 25, having a quick spin over there. That's the Broadfoot Press Technical Dimensions Porsche Specialist 968 Turbo of Montgomery and Rodenroth, and just got it around over there. Apparently the 07 car, guys, had a flat right rear tire. I don't know if it caused the moment up in the chicane or was the result of it, but they had to get in and get it fixed.
Ah, so that's what the cloud of dust was.
Well, now Ron Johnson has closed it up and has moved to within 8 seconds of the overall lead, but it's still Buckler continuing to lead, because even though he's got Darren Law right behind him, that's a great battle, but it's not for position, because if Law goes by, he'll simply gain his lap back and be at the tail end of the lead lap. But that's exactly what he wants to do, because Buckler, your race leader, is yet to pit. 65 of 98 done here at the Rock. We are back at Lime Rock Park again for the Dodge Dealers Grand Prix, round 4 of the Grand American Road Racing Association's GT Championship chase. And there, the second car on your screen, the Porsche with the Jaws look to it, is Kevin Buckler, the overall race leader. The car in front is Chuck Goldsboro, who is a teammate to Bill Oberlin in that two-car BMW team. And there is number 5, Ron Johnson. And because of Buckler being bottled up behind Goldsboro, is Buckler finally now is going to be able to get through and go, and with them maybe is 81 Law. Yeah, he's going to be able to, well, not cleanly. Oh, that was very close. But being caught up behind that number 55 BMW has cost Buckler in terms of the overall position. Ron Johnson now 4 seconds back at most. There he is.
There he is. Not even 4 seconds now. He's caught them. And of course, he'll be, now that he sees them, he'll pick up a little lap time, David. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. That little bit of a carrot out there. They're really close now, so close he can taste them. So he's going to be right on their tails as they go down the front straightaway. He's quick to the climb, the diving turn anyway.
Now the interesting thing, David, we were just talking about in break, is that Buckler, he's got to turn his car over to Philip Collin, his co-driver, sometime before lap 74 or thereabouts. He's at lap 69 already. If he doesn't, not only won't Collin get points, but Buckler won't, because there's a maximum limit as well. So this is going to be interesting to watch. Johnson continues, though, to try and close it up. He's now down to under 3 seconds as he is really putting the pressure on. It's not a battle in class, certainly, but, you know, you're still looking at the up front run here.
You saw the hood flopping around right there. I'll tell you something to watch for. When he gets the nose of this Mustang behind the Porsches, watch what happens, because it'll really, really start shaking.
And a lap back, apparently, an incident between the 00 and 84 American GT entries into the chicane.
00 gets in way too hot, locks up, goes through, misses the curb so it doesn't do damage. But look, the 84's got to just about stop to avoid the collision he thinks is going to happen.
Well, you know what I think may have happened there is, Biz, I believe they just did a driver change, and the new driver may not have been really up to speed yet.
That was Paul
Well,
Jenkins.
let's ask Erik Curran about it. Erik, congratulations again on what a great drive. You had to be really frustrated. You were on pole position, and then a problem with the throttle pedal.
Right. Boy, frustrating. Frustrating being in the front of the field and having something like a throttle cable break. You're just stuck in the middle. There's nothing you can do. Don't move the car. Keep the car straight. Make sure that nobody piles them behind you.
Out there a long time, when you came into the pits, you did not change tires.
We didn't change tires. We're just looking for, we went with a harder compound tire. Just trying to go the whole distance on the tires we have. Probably should have conserved the tires a little bit more than I did. Frustrating, again, with the throttle cable. But we're looking to go no tire change and looking to make the whole race on one set of tires.
Well, they will do that on one set of tires. If they come in again, guys, the race is really over.
All right, Biz, and our overall leader is in. Calvin is there. Buckler's in, Cal.
Kevin Buckler brings the 66 machine in. He's the overall leader, and the leader in GTO is going to be Philip Collin getting behind the wheel now. Looks like a routine stop so far. They're changing all 4 tires. They're putting some very needed Pirelli tires on there. They've really taken these to the limit now with the stint that they did. But what a job by Kevin Buckler. He's never run here before. And as we speak, the number 80 car, the Morton car, is in the pits as well. He did 71 laps. He'd never driven here at Lime Rock. He set a lap in the warm-up this morning, half a second quicker than the pole time. So he is really on a charge. Great job by those guys. Last drops of fuel are going in. Looks like routine so far. I cannot see any problems. Everyone's got their hands in the air. They're just putting the window net up. So be interesting to see if he kept the lead, guys.
All right, and you mentioned Morton is in as well, and Biz is there.
Well, right now it is a routine pit stop, but they're having some trouble with the driver change. The number 80 car has been holding down good positions throughout the whole race. Now they have changed the tires. Again, these Dunlops, it's going to be a real advantage to the driver when he gets out there with the new Dunlops. These look fairly worn, but they certainly were losing time for him. Right now, everything's going smooth down here. We'll talk with John Morton, and when he gets done helping his driver fit into the car.
All right, Biz, the interesting thing is Bill Oberlin now should be working his way down through the diving turn shortly, and the number 80 car needs to get out here if it's going to stay in the hunt and not lose a position to the 50 car of Oberlin. It's out, and Oberlin down the front chute, so 80 made it, as did the car of Buckler, I believe, and there is Oberlin. It's that close right now.
Well, the problem for Philip Collin coming out of the pits is cold tires, although they're brand new. It's going to take a lap to get him up to temperature, and he's a sitting duck for Oberlin, who's quite aggressively coming from behind.
I think Oberlin might have. Did Oberlin get those guys while they're in the pits then?
Well, I don't know if he did. It looks like he may have, and he may have actually almost gone a lap and a half up on him. But for Kevin Buckler, an absolutely amazing drive, Calvin.
Kevin, what a performance. You've never seen this place before, never driven here anyway, and you really got it together out there.
Yeah, the guys gave me a great car. You know, for the race, you're always hoping the car's as good as in practice. There's no problems. I was being pushed by all the guys. The other guys and all the other teams were doing a good job, and it was clean. It's a tricky little track, though. You know, the downhill is pretty scary, and the big one up on the top of the hill, too, so.
Saw a yellow with about 58 laps to run. Any thought of coming in then and making the driver change?
We're hoping for another yellow, and the car was still good. The tires weren't gone yet. They were getting kind of squirrely at the end. Darren was pushing me real hard, and I had to come in within the next 10 laps because of our window, so unfortunately we didn't catch a yellow.
Great job by Kevin. Meanwhile, another driver is out of the car and he's standing by with John Beers.
John Morton, you had a great run out there in the GTU class. Your GT3R was just running fantastically, but the BMW seemed to play with you quite well.
Yeah, this is really more of a BMW track because trying to equalize the cars, and on the because the Porsche is a newer car, they try to give the other older cars an advantage, and I think they gave the BMWs too much of an advantage for Lime Rock.
Where did he have the real advantage on you?
In all the corners and whenever you put the brakes on.
There you go, guys. Again, it's momentum and handling on that BMW. I'll tell you, the brakes don't look bad going down into turn 1 here either.
Well, as you said, and as we've witnessed, the BMW is stopping pretty well. Good look there now at Morton's car as he has now turned it over to his co-driver, that's Mike Schramm. But the news is up front, it's Ron Johnson right there leading overall. Second overall, leading GTU is the paintball and Yokohama BMW of Bill Oberlin. And Darren Law is sitting in third overall, second in GTU. And then Buckler, Friedman, and the rest are still back there a little bit. So, but we certainly now, David, have a lot of GTU cars on that same lap, I think, and this could be very interesting.
And of course, the Buckler car with the new driver, and of course, the same with Morton's car. They've got new tires, new set of Yokohamas on one, new set of Dunlops on the other. Oberlin by now has already done close to 40 laps, so his tires must be getting a little bit on the ragged side now.
I would suspect so. Now, maybe a question to pose here. Oberlin took that car from Rick Fairbanks fairly early. Are there any fuel consumption considerations with that BMW, Dorsey or David, where they may need to come in yet, do you think? Or are they good for the rest?
I think they should be good for the rest. Even though he stopped pretty early, I think those cars get pretty much good mileage, and I think they got enough capacity they could do it. So, as we watch Ron Johnson out there in the lead again, you know, now you got to worry about his hood thing. Although I think it's going to be okay, like you said, David. It's got 2 extra pins holding it down. It's just flopping right there on the right corner above the headlight. You see it opening up a little bit.
It seems to be okay, doesn't it? That smoke from the right rear would be the most worrying thing, because I'm wondering if he's wearing on the inside wall of the tire or something.
Let's go on board as we watch Johnson, the upper left. We'll go on board with him as well and watch him actually working inside the cockpit.
This is where it smokes, right up here. Watch inside the cockpit. When he comes off this corner, that's when we see the smoke. See it right there, as a matter of fact, but it's not getting in there, so must be tire smoke, David.
Well, it looks like, I mean, it's that's the only secondary little left-hander on the track, the exit of the chicane. And as you pointed out earlier, David, this track very much like a backwards oval, so I suppose you'd set it up with that preponderance of left-hand corners, and it might fall over a little bit to a right-hander.
Right, with preponderance of right-hand corner.
Yeah, other way around.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right. But he looked very smooth going down to the downhill, and now he's in Big Bend, which is a bumpy track, a bumpy part of the track. And doesn't seem to be getting a tremendous amount of kickback into the S's now. You can see him going through the left-hander, the one and only real left-hander here. Now on the no-name straight, and again, this is pretty bumpy, but the car doesn't seem to be reacting too badly to it. Not getting a huge amount of feedback through the wheel.
It looked like anybody could do it. Yeah. But look behind him, there's a lot of pressure. Porsche is still there.
Well, anybody can do it slowly. It's the really talented people that are the ones that are the pros and do it very fast. We are coming up on about 20 remaining here at the Dodge Dealers Grand Prix. Welcome back to Lime Rock, everybody. Glad to have you with us, certainly. And you know, there's some experience here on the microphones giving you the broadcast commentary here. And John Bizignano has a memory of Lime Rock from a few years back.
Big memories for me here at Lime Rock. 1974 IMSA GTU race. I was in second place right behind the leader. I had him all set up for a great pass, and all of a sudden he makes a big jog to the left, and there right in front of me is the biggest deer I've ever seen. Actually, it was just the biggest deer ever. I tried to make the same jog to miss the deer, and I hit the third place car. I go right through this deer sideways, off the track, right into this tree, right about here. I went from 130 miles an hour to 0 in 3 feet. I busted everything on the right-hand side of my body, and I absorbed 65 G-forces. I was told that my brain went all the way across my skull, past my eye, and then rattled around inside my skull for a while. The most amazing thing about all that is that it had no permanent effect on me whatsoever, especially the brain part.
Well, for those of us who have worked with
I'm not too sure that he's right about that last bit.
No, I don't think so. We know him too well.
I was going to take a poll, but I think we just did. And obviously, John Biziano, that
obviously explains it.
Yeah, there you go. We could leave it at that, I think.
Well, what's he talking about? Think about the deer.
There you go.
That's big.
That's
no permanent damage whatsoever.
Well, not mentally maybe, but the rest of them's not doing so good. Meanwhile, that's number 65, and that's Tony Ave right now. And there's some speculation. The corner workers have reported that they might be seeing some intermittent flames from that car.
Well, there's some smoke that just came out of the car, and if it's got an oil leak and it's getting onto the header system or exhaust.
It looks like it's running terribly rich, doesn't it?
Didn't it?
Dorsey, that might mean the exhaust is lighting up in the pipe, do you think? I mean, it is running real rich.
Could be that, or like I said, yeah, I didn't want to look at the D-cell. Really fat on D-cell.
That car had some problems early on, and they are a number of laps down. Frank Sanchez, the Sanchez Motorsports Banana Boat Sun Care car. Tony Ave, the other driver in that machine, and when Ave has been driving it, Sanchez is a very good driver, but Ave, a top-flight pro, and he has lapped very, very quickly. The problem for them is they had an early problem and are way down the order.
Tony Ave, one of those drivers that, again, life didn't go like it could have done for him. A very quick kid, but just never had the right drives. Every time he gets in the car, he always surprises everybody, but no one can ever sort of afford to keep him going. So it's a bit of a shame for Tony Ave. But at the moment, the thing's running hopelessly rich. I think of what's happening is the fuel is lighting up in the exhaust pipe. He's also got some grass in the radiator there, which isn't going to affect it too much today because the temperature here is pretty cool, but normally that could be a problem.
Yeah, a broken spark plug early on is what's kept them out of the American GT overall hunt here. And it's a real shame indeed, as that car back quite a bit now, but going very quickly. American GT continues to be the purview right now of Doug Goad, is having his run right there. They've just stayed with it. There's a good look at number 90. Now that's Chris Miller, and that car is currently sitting in the 4th spot in the GTU division at this stage of the race. And that right now is Philip Collin right in front of the car that Kevin Buckler had that unbelievable opening stint in. And they're down to a good battle here. And that, I believe, is a battle for position. If Miller can catch him, they are on the same lap, and the margin now down to well under a second. If he can catch him, that'll be a battle for position. Somebody dropped at least a tire there.
Yeah, somebody's been off the outside of Big Bend there, and I just saw the Porsche 66 hit the curb down there and launched itself, so that didn't give him a good exit.
He's obviously feeling the pressure here from Chris Miller. Up into the climbing turn right now. Battle for 3rd in class and 4th overall. It's Ron Johnson leading, Oberlin 2nd and leading in GTU with Darren Law, then 2nd in GTU, Collin 3rd and Miller 4th. That's this battle, Collin and Miller. And then another 40 seconds or so back is Asentado, who has taken over from Spencer Pumperly in the number 34 GTU entry. So this is our best battle on the track right now for position. And it looks as though now Philip Collin has been able to get a little bit more breathing room over Chris Miller.
Chris Miller's car stepped out a little bit under the braking right there. This is the time of the race now when everything's pretty worn. You know, brake-wise, they don't make any brake pad changes, so some of these cars might be experiencing some problems now.
And of course, all that offline debris, the rubber, the rolled-up rubber, dust, and general junk that collects all that dust where people keep putting the wheels over the edge, it is now collecting big time offline, so these drivers have got to sort of pick their way through here, make sure they stay online.
Good look right there, number 84. That's the McNeil DeWare American GT entry, who's had problems with the rear deck and the like. And there's 34. That's the car started by Spencer Pumpelly and now being run by Asentado. That car was right in the mix of that GTU battle for quite a while as well. And although it's an intra-division rivalry here with the GTU and GTO car, they've been racing each other pretty tough here. And with that rear deck on that American GT Camaro, is that doing that much to the handling of that?
Well, two things can happen with that, Greg. For sure, it's not channeling the air over the roof like it would normally to the rear wing, so it could be losing rear downforce. Also, the bad news on that is that whenever you lose that rear deck lid and you lift off the throttle for a corner, all the exhaust gets sucked back up into the car through that open hole, and you got to breathe all that thing. So he's probably not liking much of the way it smells in there today.
No, not at all. And of course, you do lose quite a bit of downforce too, because as Dorsey says it's not flowing over the roof right.
It's the worldbestbuy.com Comer Racing Chevrolet Camaro of McNeil, Andy McNeil and Scott DeWare right in front, number 34. That's now Emil Asentado out of Locust Valley, New York, I believe, in the North Atlantic Marine Group. Donzi, that's a Porsche GT3R, although that looks more like an RSR, doesn't it, with that the wing configuration on the back of that car. And here's that battle that's continuing again. 4th overall, 3rd in GTU. That's the last spot on the podium that they are racing for. And Philip Collin and Chris Miller, the second drivers in each of these two cars, have found each other on the track and have refused to be separated. A very solid battle as well. And coming up behind them now is Bill Oberlin. And give you an idea of Oberlin's progress through the pack, he is coming up now to put them a lap down. So Oberlin's charge has been not only impressive, it has been very dominant since Oberlin got behind the wheel. Calvin, Bill Oberlin's absolutely cruising right now.
Well, he's doing a great job there. Some great pit strategy getting Bill in early, but Genesis Racing are just really pleased with these two cars. They're both ex-Milner cars, PDG Racing, and one is a four-door. That's the one Bill's driving. That car is ABS, which makes it a little bit quicker around this bumpy racetrack than the 50 sister car, but both cars running really well. They got the fingers crossed. Just a handful of laps left now as we count down, and Rick Fairbanks, the owner of the car and co-driver with Bill, is just ecstatic about these cars and how they're running here today.
Well, they have been very, very impressive, and obviously it's a pretty well-sorted package, but a new team takes it over. I think one of the best moves they made probably was being able to arrange with BMW Europe to get Bill Oberlin behind the wheel with his experience in those cars. That has got to be an opportunity for them to be able to sort those cars a lot quicker than they may have been able to otherwise.
Oh, absolutely, make a huge difference. Going down Chris Miller now into the climbing turn.
So that can really mess up the battle that was going on between those two for position. Of course, Oberlin lapping them is going to split them now.
Chris Miller, of course, his car was on the pole in the hands of Dave Friedman for this class, the GTU class. So Bill Oberlin showing them a clean pair of heels now. Oberlin has driven a stunning race this afternoon.
Bill Oberlin, for instance, last lap of 59.6, and Johnson's at a 59.3. So Oberlin able to lap very quickly indeed. Darren Law, though, is the guy who's going quickest in GTU right now. He just lapped at a 58.5. So Darren Law definitely on the prowl here, although he's a ways back of Oberlin at this stage. Oberlin now has gone by Collin and has put now the top. He's lapped everybody essentially except Law in GTU. As we watch him as he heads up now into the climbing turn. There is 09. That's your current leader in the American GT division. Doug Goat now behind the wheel of the Spirit of Daytona. That's the Chevrolet Camaro, sponsored by Daytona, Mitsubishi, and Cat Country. And Doug Goat again along with his teammate Craig Conway. Oh, and Collin has looped it over in the chicane.
They didn't loop it alone. You saw the blue car there pulling away. That car in some way involved also both of them off. Look at the debris.
Rabble all over the track there, yeah. So, yeah.
I wonder if the 07 car maybe came up, and if Collin was sideways in the middle of the chicane, if that 07 car maybe just drove straight through to avoid trying to tiptoe around them.
It could be. You're starting to really see that, the track deterioration. Now look at all the stuff on the straightaway there, and you see bits and pieces of it bouncing out of the car every once in a while when they break.
So here's number 66, Collin now obviously has, Chris Miller has gone by him and gained that spot, so that should promote Miller up now to 3rd in GTU, 4th overall. And we're getting a report, oh no, number 00, that great, oh, look at that blast, that's just overrun on the exhaust, but it's very spectacular.
I think he killed the motor.
Did he miss the chicane again, do you think, and stall it somehow?
That could have. He might have locked up, David, and killed the motor, stalled the motor, and you saw the big, huge belts of fire when it refired. So something going on. We saw the gravel up there, too. It could be quite slippery right there in that chicane.
Yeah, look at all that stuff lying around on the main straightaway there. Here goes Bill Oberlin down the inside of the, is that the 09?
That's good, yeah. So Oberlin going incredibly quick. That's Paul Jenkins in the 00 Ford Mustang having the problem here. Now, on the last lap, of course, we were talking about the incident with number 66. Watch from the back of Oberlin's car. There's the white Porsche coming in, and he just got it wrong all by himself. There goes Chris Miller. Nice piece of defensive driving to get through and pick up that spot without contact. So the 07 car did the smart thing and just straight lined it and tried not to try and avoid him through the chicane. So number 66 now in the hands of Philip Collin has dropped back a spot, but up front, Ron Johnson with 91 laps complete leads it. We are back in Lime Rock, but things have changed. That is the overall leader, number 5. You can see the damage to the left front corner. Selene's crew frustrated, not happy as they are preparing for a possible pit stop. You see the damage to the right rear corner of the number 66 Porsche that had been running so well in GTU. However, those cars did indeed come together, but there was a third car that was a mitigating factor in that. Let's go on board now with number 5, Ron Johnson, when this happened at real speed, and he's trying to put a lap on the 00 car up front, and that's when it happened. Watch.
That's a 50 BMW, isn't it? The 55 BMW.
I'll tell you what, that was an amazing situation that there wasn't a bigger accident. That was on the no-name straightaway, and that could have been huge. Now the question is, will he pit? I wouldn't pit for anything right now. Of course, they could black flag him if it starts losing debris.
And the double, I think, David, that was the 00 Ford Mustang. Stuck in second gear, and I think it just surprised them both. And Philip Collins suddenly realized, I'm gaining way too quick, moved right, and Johnson just happened to be making a move right then. And you can see it's buckled where that hood was loose before on the number 5, Dorsey, that right front upper part there. It's really starting to buckle now.
Well, the danger he's got to worry about that he doesn't see is that the under tray underneath the right front tire, if it goes underneath the tire, it'll stop that tire from being able to turn, and it won't be able to steer or brake. And I've seen that happen a lot of different times.
So Ron Johnson now is fighting what is probably a fairly evil handling car. He's not able to get back and around Collin, and in fact now,
that's the piece I'm talking about right there.
The Porsche behind him, that's 81 Darren Law. And Darren Law is able to run fast enough now to run with Johnson here.
I think the 21 car put a wheel off the edge at the top of the hill going into the down.
Wow, look at this. Here's the smoke off the Mustang.
Yeah, big smoke coming off that now.
Selene on the left front really rubbing.
Yeah, that bodywork's tough. Darren Law trying to get underneath, and Darren Law has gone by. So this, that car definitely wounded.
Well, it's very wounded. It's wounded in several places. Talking to Steve Selene, the builder of these beautiful Selene SRs, he says right now we have got to try and keep him out there. They figure there's only 3 or 4 laps left. The car is heavily damaged all over. The temperatures are going up. I think they're just going to keep running until it dies, guys.
Well, we were just on board as well with Johnson looking backward. We saw a piece of bodywork come off of the number 66 Porsche up in the air as well. Small one at that. But Johnson, obviously, they're going to win GTO. You know, that's not the issue here. But they'd like to stay out and try and claim an overall win. That's a bit of prestige here. But Bill Oberlin is but 30 seconds back. And we've got 2.5 laps to go.
I don't think even Bill Oberlin can catch up 30 seconds in 2.5 laps, unless, of course, that car, more debris flying off the 66 car now, gradually coming undone.
And that smoke out of the front tire, there is the 50 car right now, but that smoke off of Ron Johnson's front tire could be disaster if it blows that tire.
Well, Oberlin's last lap was 4 seconds faster than Johnson. Now, obviously, that's not going to do it in 2 laps here. But if Johnson keeps the pace up here, and if that piece dislodges, Oberlin is there. I mean, it's going to be that fast here. Darren Law now finds himself, he's still quite a bit back of Oberlin, but going quickly. There's Bill Oberlin running second right now. And the margin indeed has come down about 4.5 seconds in 1 lap. There is Johnson as
smoke.
Yeah, this time by. He should, though, be
1 to go.
Picking up the white flag, and he'll be very relieved to see that.
Gauge is all pegged.
Most of the smoke still seems to be coming from his right rear, doesn't it? The left front doesn't seem to be smoking much now. The debris seems to be falling off, but it seems to be falling away from the car. Like you say, George, if that gets jammed under the car and under the wheel, like breaking into Big Bend, for instance.
There is the white flag, so 1 to go. 1 to go for Ron Johnson. There has got to be one nervous boy inside that cockpit, and Bill Oberlin is flying. There is no question of that. Johnson's last lap, a 103, about a 103, as he's now trying to just get back around Darren Law here. And here comes Oberlin. Let's see what the margin has dropped to. 1 lap to go. Oberlin's lap, a 59 flat, and then another 3 seconds, but not going to be enough.
No, it won't happen unless, of course, he can't make the rest of the corner. Once he gets over the top of this hill, he could make it from there on coasting if he had to. Or on a flat tire, either way.
Yeah, here we go. Through the chicane now, up into West Bend one last time. And then that diving turn and onto the front straight. He's got enough of a lead. He's obviously going to be able to relax a little bit here. Tiptoe down through the diving turn, and Ron Johnson, wounded Saleen Mustang and all, is going to take the win here in round 4 of the Grand American Road Racing Championship with the New England Dodge Dealers GT. And what a great race. There's a relieved crew. Now let's go back and take a look at Bill Overland's progress. Coming from so deep in the GTU pack itself to 2nd overall in the GTU win. Here comes Overland. Rick Fairbanks starting the car, doing a brilliant job. And here comes Bill Overland right there, taking 2nd overall. The GTU win, and the Genesis Racing team very, very happy. And there's an onboard look at Overland as he's on his cool-down lap. And meanwhile, in the American GT division, watch for him. There he is. Doug Go, team with Craig Conway, and the Spirit of Daytona Camaro takes another American GT win, their 2nd of the season. But there's an onboard look at Ron Johnson, and he did what he had to do. And I'll tell you, Biz, when that car got damaged, he stayed very calm, cool, and collected.
Well, so did the management. Steve Saleen, congratulations on a great win. I mean, sticking throttle cables, fires, crashes, they couldn't stop you today.
No, that's true. It wasn't a pretty win today, but we certainly have to take my hat off to the team. They've done a good job. The drivers did an excellent job. Obviously, the Saleen ran very well for most of the day, and it certainly gave us our share of thrills, though, here. There was enough diversity here to keep it exciting from our standpoint.
They're going to be partying all night long.
That was a great drive by both Borschler and Johnson. Great drives in all of the divisions, and when we come back, we'll visit with our winners. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Lime Rock Park, where the New England Dodge Dealers Grand Prix has concluded. And John Bizignano, sometimes winning a race means overcoming obstacles, and boy, did the Saleen team.
Well, they overcame everything. Ron Johnson, congratulations on a great victory. First of all, tell us about that fire during the pit stop.
I don't know. We must have just been charmed this week. I mean, came in here for the pit stop, car lit on fire. I had to jump out of the car while they put it out, jump back in, went out, chased down, took the lead again. Just had a little bit at the end, just trying to keep up. But, you know, I'd like to thank BASF and Saleen for just making a great car. The crew, the whole Johnson family, thank you very much.
Okay, what about this crash?
We just got a little close to one of the Porsches going down the back, the no-name straight, and just kind of snuck up on me, and I just hit him a little bit.
Last couple of laps, how much trouble was there with the car?
I was getting a little bit loose, and it's real hot in the car still. So I think I'm going to sit down now and just have a little bit of a break.
Okay, Terry, listen, you took this car out with a lot of problems off to begin with. You were very happy to even make it to your pit stop. You've got to be really happy with an overall win.
Yeah, I'm real pleased with the job that Ron did, too. He really stepped it up and brought it home as a winner, and real happy about that. Saleen is real happy, too, and the Saleen SR, as we said at the beginning of the broadcast, is proving grounds for the street cars, and they've proved a lot. Like you said, we overcame a lot, including the fire. That was pretty exciting.
Now, you won here yesterday in the GT class. You must be just so pleased with this team. Have you ever been with a better organization to make your talents win?
Yeah, it's been real good for me as far as a career. I started with them in the World Challenge in '98 and won a championship the first year. And it's really been good for my career, and the new car that's being built, I'm a part of that program, so I'm excited to be able to have the opportunity.
Congratulations. Calvin Fish, you are with the GTU winner.
Well, they are, but I tell you, Billy Overland had his sights on overall victory there the last few laps. You had the sniffer going there on the lead car.
Yeah, we were talking on the radio all the time, and we got to the lead of our class, which was fortunate. I mean, we were a little bit down. He was pushing it so hard, he pushed it in the pits, and we had to do a stop and go. But the car was awesome. The crew did a great job. The Yokohama tires. And this is an older, couple-year-old M3, and it still shows, I told you, it would show the way around the track again. It knows the way to the victory lane here.
It looked like there were some close calls out there as you were forcing your way through traffic. I mean, there was some contact out there. Just part of racing, though, right?
Yeah, it's light stuff. I mean, I didn't push anybody. I would get on the brakes, I go, oh, it's just not going to stop. And then just squeeze on them a little bit, and it moved, and it was solid.
Great job, Billy. It's fun to watch. And Rick, you got to be very pleased with the performance of the cars and your co-driver.
He did a great job. The BMW's being great. The Yokohama tires, as always. The crew did a super job. I almost screwed it up with our little stop and go there coming in pit lane, but we were pushing, so came around.
You going to see Billy in the car again this year?
Yeah, hopefully Mid-Ohio, and then he disappears for a while to go run the Moss Series.
Great job today, guys.
Thanks.
Hey, great job indeed. Rick Fairbanks, let's not take anything away from the job he did. He stayed close where he needed it to be to turn it over to Oberlin to bring it home. And Terry Borchler, you remember during the race we played that soundbite where he talked about how Lime Rock had not been a particularly kind place to him. 2 wins in 1 weekend in a major events. Maybe he's taken a bit of that back. He can walk out of here with his head held high. Very, very solid weekend indeed. Great racing here certainly at Lime Rock, and it's always nice. It's just one of the more scenic places to spend a Memorial Day, and I think everybody has enjoyed what they've seen. We'll be right back.
Well, welcome back to the Victory Circle right here in Lime Rock, and with the American GT, the Detroit muscle cars. You guys brought it home. Craig Conway, tell us about that first stint drive.
Yeah, we had a little problem. One of the tires went down, so we had to come in early. But we've been working on this car all weekend. We finally got it handling real well, and that's what did it.
Doug Godd, when you first showed up in Phoenix, you weren't sure if this car was going to do any more races whatsoever. You've got to be pleased with the success so far.
Well, the guys have done just a great job, and Craig and the whole team has really pulled everything together. It's a little more than a shoestring, but not much. It's a real grassroots effort, and the car's running good. Craig got it sorted out. We completely changed the suspension last night before the race, and what can I say? It ran like a champ all day long and came in first. That's all you can ask for it.
Congratulations. All those changes worked, guys.
Worked very well, and they too overcame some adversity. Seems to be the story of the week, and let's take a look at our unofficial full field results. Borchler and Johnson in the Saleen, GTO, and overall a great job. The drive by Bill Oberlin, it is something that he is famous for, and perhaps nobody is better, as he claimed the GTU win. And of course the American GT win, a great drive as well by Doug Godd and Craig Conway as we take you through the rest of the field. Let's take a look now at points in the Grand American GT division. In GTO, Terry Borchler and Ron Johnson tied by 10 over Montgomery, then Messley and Rodenroth, and they lost some ground, certainly Messley with the problems with the Viper. In GTU, it is going to be quite close indeed. Fitzgerald continues to be out there a little bit, but Buckler and Collin, and then Law and American GT, Conway and Goad. Conway a little bit of an advantage, McNeil, Mills, and Jenkins. So that's how the points stack up. It's going to be very interesting. Now, of course, the 5th round of the championship will be coming up at Mid-Ohio, and that will be aired Sunday, June 18th, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, and that track always produces some very exciting racing as well. For all the information you want on motorsports, www.speedvision.com. Go on the net and get your answers, courtesy of Speedvision. For David Hobbs, for Dorsey Schrader, for Calvin Fish, and for John Bizignano, I am Greg Kramer. Thank you so very much for joining us here, the New England Dodge Dealers Grand Prix Memorial Day weekend at Lime Rock, one of the truly very special weekends of racing in all the world, and a great show has been put on. We look forward to the coverage from Mid-Ohio. Now, speaking of coverage, we take you some bonus programming in progress of American Muscle Car. Goodbye, everybody.